Let's talk a little bit about the IOC, or the International Olympic Committee. The International Olympic Committee is the governing body for all of the sports that happen during the Olympic movement. And during an Olympiad, we have both winter and summer Olympic Games. And so if somebody is to be on the IOC, what job do you essentially have? Well, first, your first job is, as quoted by the IOC, is to make the games come true. Essentially, your job as the IOC is to host the Olympic Games. You're the one that's in charge of that. They also have the job of bringing the core values of Olympism to life through the Olympic family and the support they have for those. The third one is that it seeks to support the sports throughout the world through the redistribution of the revenues toward encouraging sport participation and development through sport. And so, as we've talked about before, the four major revenue sources for the Olympic Games, or the IOC, is sponsorship, broadcasting, ticketing, and licensing. And so all of that money is then redistributed to the Olympic family to do the work of spreading sport participation globally. And so their job is to ensure that. And then their last job is to also seek to govern, well, not their last job, but to seek to govern the Olympic movement. Okay, so how does the governing structure work? Well, the official language of the IOC is both English and French. Obviously, it's French because of Pierre de Coubertin, like we just discussed. And it's English because that is one of the most used languages around the world, and therefore they use it that way. It's headquartered in Lausanne, Switzerland, which is the reason why it's in Switzerland. And if you notice, if you start to do some research on governing bodies across the globe, many of them are held in Switzerland because of the neutral state of Switzerland. It gives the ability to have that peace and ability to work together. It consists of 115 members. 70 of the members come from countries that compete in the games. Essentially, you compete in the games, you have a representation on the IOC. It also has 15 active athletes, so they have athletes that are on the IOC. They also have 15 representatives from international sport federations, and then 15 representatives from national Olympic committees. I believe the last I looked, the U.S. had 2 representatives on the IOC, both of them former athletes, and both of them have been doing it for a while. One is a businessman from Los Angeles, and another one is an archer she may be from Los Angeles too, but both I think had ties to the 1984 games that were so successful. The National Olympic Committees is another one that we mentioned earlier. Their job is, not to reiterate this too much, but their job is to govern that body. All that governing body's job is to govern the sports in that country throughout the year. And their job is to, what IOC says, develop, promote, and protect the Olympic movement in the respective countries. They promote and select the athletes. They encourage education of the sport, and also coordinating bids for the host nations. The ANOCs is something I haven't mentioned yet, is the Association of National Olympic Committees. These are governing, organizing bodies where NOCs come together, work together to share ideas, prepare for meetings with the IOC, and share funding advice with each other. This consists of 204 National Olympic Committees in 5 different continents. The 5 regions are the Association for the National Olympic Committees of Africa, the one in Pan American Sports Organization, the Olympic Council of Asia, the European Olympic Committees, and then you also have the Oceania National Olympic Committees. We also have the Organizing Committee for the Olympic Games, which I mentioned before, is formed to help the host nation host the Olympic Games, and dissolves immediately after. And this usually time span is from bid to after the bid to when the games are over. It's about a 7-year time span. International sport federations, again, are those governing bodies that are specific to the sports worldwide and are not attached to a single nation. The IOC is the governing body for the Olympic Games as a whole, but the IFs are the ones that are in charge of the individual games.